The last time we had got big, and I said to myself, if we make this one, I ain't gonna never quit. You know where you know it inside? And I walked away and left it right there. Oh, I don't know what happened to the stuff. I didn't even check. I just left it. Because I knew if that was, that last one was so substantial that if that's successful, I ain't gonna never quit this thing here. At least that's the way I felt. So I just got up. That is the best decision I ever made. I just left it. And I came back to the penitentiary and went join the penitentiary. I didn't join. I mean, they kind of put me in. But that was the best decision I ever made. It was the best decision I ever made. Not only in hindsight, but I look at everybody else on that level. On that level, the life expectancy, and I would have been so deep in it that I would be making the money for the wrong reason. See, the reason I was making that money is because when I went overseas, the brothers didn't have no money. Everybody in exile, you could call them now, you could dial it up. They didn't have no money. The black people here, they're not in the news anymore, so, or they done killed all their friends and can't nobody send them no money. Ain't nobody sending them no money. The most saddest people you'd ever see is the brothers that fought for the liberation of black people here, and they were stuck over there with no, first of all, they travel under assumed name, so they don't have no job experience for over there. They don't have no ID for, if one of the guys, Dr. John Branyan, anybody ever look up Dr. John Branyan? Dr. John Branyan, you know whose doctor he was? He was Idi Amin's doctor. Yeah, he was because Idi Amin didn't need no, this is the biggest Negro. All of his friends was Johnson Publications and all of them. That's the last time I seen him in Johnson Publication. I went to my doctor and he said, you was in Africa a lot, wasn't you? I said, yeah. And he said, you know Dr. So-and-so? And I said, did you know Doc? Did y'all go to school together? He said, no. And they showed me maybe a 1983 Ebony. It's in there. Anybody you never seen that? But it's in there. If you can ever look it up, look up Dr. John Branyan. But those are the people, he could work for Idi Amin because Idi Amin didn't trust all them white doctors and all other people was acting funny. But this is a Negro doctor. This is a Negro doctor, and he was a chief resident in Chicago, but he didn't have no paperwork. So Idi Amin probably checked with the British intelligence and said, yeah, this nigga on the run, da 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 da. But anyway, it was a lot of stuff like that. But here's the point. The best decision I ever made in my life, well, the first decision to leave America, when I left, it's all that was gifts from Allah. Because I looked around at what's happening to everybody. And I said, nigga might not make it too long around here. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just the way it was happening at that time. And then the thing about the level of wealth. See, we had a meeting in Algeria at the headquarters of the Black Panther Party, and I told them about this. I said, let's do this and let's do that and get money for the rebellion. No, we can't do it. Well, that's what they were saying on the surface, but half is against our principles. And I was just saying to myself, but y'all stay high all the time. You go down to the Rue de Douche Marad buying hashish. What's the deal about And then I'm there full of discipline, running on the beach every morning. And they're not doing no training for nothing. I came to the conclusion that they didn't ever want to come back and take over America, like, and fix things, which they didn't. Anyway, a long story short, this makes you believe in Allah even more, because at every critical point in history, whatever message you picked up out of the environment, it had to be sent from Allah, because it was the right one at the right time. And get up and get out of here. And then when you go over there and you get big, successful, and the one that is going to make, you're going to be on easy street. Not easy street, because I lived then just like I live now, sleeping on the floor. Well, I lived in the maid's quarters, because down in South America, every house have a maid's quarters. And no matter how big the house is, it has. And so I used to sleep in the maid's quarters half the time on the floor, I just learned, believe it, how I learned it. I was traveling around, and when I left here, I had suitcase after suitcase. You ever see a movie where a white woman that's kind of rich go on a trip on a boat, and they got people carrying all their luggage? That's the way I was. When I left, shoot, I had 10 pairs of shoes. I had mink hats and suits. I had, good God Almighty. And then, guess what? When you travel inside the United States, you didn't have to pay extra. When you go outside the United States, anything over 66 pounds, you have to pay extra. That's okay, you're rich. But you have to pack all of that stuff up. And the other thing is, they don't wear that stuff nowhere else that you go. I could wear one suit one time when I was up near Kilimanjaro. Mount Meru, Arusha is cool. It's 14,000 feet up, so it's cool. So I could put on a nice mink stuff, But it's Africa. Who the hell knows what that is or cares, right? So I looked at it like this. I said, man, this stuff is a burden. So when I left was at the train station, the guy that I said, he said, man, remember they stole our luggage. They didn't steal nothing. He stole it or had it stolen, I'm sure he's the police. I mean, after all, Who else could he be, So they did me a favor. I went on back up to Copenhagen, got me a ticket, and came on back over this way. And I remembered because it was January the 1st, 1972. So that's a setback ain't nothing but a setup for a comeback. So that was my first real comeback, is then. And that's why it worked. It was a comeback. And it was a comeback that was sizable for those times. It was so sizable that just like here, we got a certain program. Well, I knew Boss Man was everywhere and everybody, even at that time. So we did stuff right there. Boss Man's people, he could count all of that. So, just like now, Boss Man do something, he gonna get all the money back that he let you make. But he didn't know then, and he don't know now. Down there, I had my own thing going on the side. He didn't know nothing about it. All I do is walk every morning in the hills, go to the gym. Boy, I was buff, skinny, but cut. Boy, look at here. I weighed 175 pounds when I was heavy. One time I was down to 164. So that means, and I'm lifting weights at least twice a day. I mean, doing all the perfect, boy, look at here, talking about cut. Hey, man. Anyway, but no matter what's going on, if you have a feel for history and the historical period, see, when I was traveling, I took books with me, and I studied the books all the time, you know. And I had Chairman Mao's books and stuff like that. And that was a 4-volume set. At that time, it's a 5 now, but it was 4-volume then. In fact, Pete O'Neill gave it to me. It was Chairman Mao's writing about guerrilla warfare and all of that. And the only one I liked was volume 1, because it had all, and that's the only one I use now. Strategic management under conditions of repression, psychological guerrilla warfare. We changed it from the principles of guerrilla warfare, right, to psychological guerrilla warfare. In other words, we don't have no place to run around and hide in the woods to do guerrilla warfare, and you can't hide with Negroes because they'll tell on you then and now, right? So we have to change it to psychological guerrilla warfare. And we proposed it to Boss Man. What you say, Boss Man? And he agreed. I said, good. He agreed because he think this guy run him crazy. This nigga's a fool talking about psychological guerrilla warfare. When we finished with him, well, he didn't know that he had already trained us pretty good. I mean, real good. So psychologically, we was ahead of him because he has his limits. He has his limits. And when you test him, and you didn't have 30 or 40 years to test him, you know what his limits are. So you tricking him, you doing Bruh Rabbit and Bruh Bear stuff on him. And he don't know what it is. Do y'all remember the story about Bruh Rabbit and Bruh Bear? You know, poor Bruh Rabbit, he hid in the berry bushes, the briars, as they used to briar patch. And he said, Brother Bear caught him. He said, oh, Brother Bear, instead of eating him, he said, please don't throw me in the briar patch. That's where he lived. In the berry bushes, if you run up in the hills like I do, and the rabbits run around they got little cutouts. That's where they hide, in the berry bushes, the briar patch, they call it. So he said, that's his home. So he pleads with Brother Bear, please don't throw me in the briar patch. And just to be mean, Brother Bear threw him in his house, in his home, where he feels safe. And that's the way we did Boss Man. See, that old country stuff, it come to you when you need it. The only one that knew what I was talking about was Imam Jamil, because he's from the country too. You know, he's from Louisiana down there. And he's the only one. All the other people in the city, they city folks. I tell you, it just don't. So when I told him about something, he said, yeah, that's why I'm telling you. He said, that's Brother Bear and Brother Rabbit. That's a story. Look up Brother Rabbit. You think I'm lying? That's a story. Brother Rabbit and Brother Bear. And so, look, use stuff that Boss Man don't know nothing about. He don't understand it. It's simple. Right? 3-card Molly and all that, if you know, just don't play it. Because he ain't, when you stick your finger on, it's going to be there. It ain't there. Right? It never is, except he wanted to be there every now and then, so he got people with him that, and they said, there it is. And it's there, because they work together. Right? Man, I can do that. And you put down $100. Oh, it ain't there. Man, I can get another 100. Pretty soon you broke. and he might let you win $10 so you can get home, but you're going to leave all that money there, right? Yeah, because it's a team. They're working together. Hey, man, traveling, yeah, look, you think I'm lying. I'm not going to change the subject, but when I was in the penitentiary in Florida, it was a friend of mine who was in exile was a radio preacher. He was a nice brother, nice looking guy, light brown skin, wavy hair, all that stuff. You would think he was a pimp. That's what you would think. You would swear he was a pimp. And so when I was in jail in Florida,